Oh, this is a George Lucas movie, alright. Might as well ditch the whip and make me a Jedi. That honestly would have made for a much better movie. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the fourth and final Indiana Jones movie to be directed by the grandfather of Indy himself, Steven Spielberg, and is the penultimate installment in the franchise. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull tells the story taking place like 20 years after the events of Last Crusade, where Indy is in his 60s now, and it's 1957, and he reunites with long lost love of his life, Marion, as well as their son, and they uh, go on a adventure to get to return a crystal skull to its a temple in Peru before the Soviets, led by Irina, gets the skull first, and the skull turns out to be something totally sci-fi, much to our surprise now. Spielberg never intended to do Indy 4, so this was the movie of the four he directed he was the least passionate about making.
There was a reason that I invented the shot of Harrison riding a horse into the sunset because I thought that brought the curtain down on the trilogy, and then we were all going to move on and mature into other aspects of filmmaking, and I never thought I would ever see Indiana Jones again. And Harrison was tenacious, and Harrison called George and got George thinking about it, and George called me, and he said, well, Steve, what do you want to do? It could be fun to make a movie, and I was the holdout. I was the one that said, I'm done with this series. It was great. Let's walk away. George Lucas had this idea for Indiana Jones, and it was basically, hey, let's do aliens. And I said, George, I don't want to do aliens. I've done two alien movies. At the time, I had done E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, not in that order, but I'd done both of those pictures. And I didn't want to do any more aliens. That was it.
So yeah, Spielberg, we love you. George, however, we need to have a word with you. This is clearly more of a George Lucas movie, despite Spielberg directing it, because at least Spielberg knows when to call it quits. Who could blame him for just wanting to conclude Indy as a trilogy? Why did we need four? Harrison was also eager to do more, as well as George, because Harrison cannot seem to walk away from this role, even now, and no matter how old he is. But yeah, I mean, but a fourth Indiana Jones with a 60-year-old Indy with the premise of aliens. What the fuck? Yeah, I I mean, Spielberg was rightfully burnt out by aliens. He'd already directed E.T., Close Encounter, and the 2005 War of the Worlds, and he was well aware that aliens and Indiana Jones don't mix. I mean, even as a kid, I thought that entire concept was dumb. And yeah, I can, even though this is the highest grossing Indiana Jones movie currently, it is still the least popular of all of the indie movies, and I am with that majority. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is undoubtedly the weakest Indiana Jones movie thus far. It could not be more lesser than the original Indy trilogy. The magic just isn't here the fourth time round, but it's still could have been worse. While not terrible, it's just painfully average, and yeah, you could call it Kingdom of the Crystal dull because that's how dull it is. But as for the good qualities to this movie, I mean, they lie in the cast. I mean, with the exception of Harrison Ford, yeah, Harrison is this time round feels tired, and he's at this point over age for the role. like Indy with grey hair. I mean, it's just not the same as back when he was young and the perfect age. This feels like a movie that was made too late. 29 years after Last Crusade. What were they thinking? If they were going to make it, they should have made it way sooner. I mean, even though Indy, reunites with his family and meets his son, who he never knew existed until now. Yeah, Harrison really, something feels missing from Harrison's acting here. Though it is wonderful to have Karen Allen as Marion back. I mean, she still looks immaculate in this movie, and even though she's not as young as she was, and Shia LaBeouf as Mutt Williams are, yeah. This is I don't uh, love Shia LaBeouf, but he's still better here than he is as Sam Witwicky in the Bayformers, and yeah, in this movie, you totally buy him as Indy's son. I mean, heck, he outdoes his Daz at the action stunts. I mean, his attitude is like, just do it. And Kate Blanchett as Irina, the leader of the Soviets. Uh, I am so thankful they didn't bring back the Nazis again, and it's not taking place in World War II again. She is not my favorite antagonist. That would still be Mola Ram, but she's probably the second best. She's a perfectly serviceable as a threat and incredibly skilled with her sword and acrobats. So I'm happy that Kate Blanchett got to be a character in the Indiana Jones franchise. I mean, not that her character is going to be as iconic as Galadriel from Middle Earth or Valka from How to Train Your Dragon, but still, to its credit, Spielberg does nicely wrap up Indy and Marion's relationship with their wedding in the very final scene. You're like, okay, uh, Indy can retire now. He's happily married with his son. I mean, what more can you do with Indy? But that's where the positives come to an end, as yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has such a dull and derivative narrative. I mean, even with the aliens, the entire thing of Indy, reunites with family members. He's got to find a MacGuffin before the villains do. I'm like, we've seen this all before. Say what you want about Temple of Doom haters, but at least there was no MacGuffin for Indy to go after. At least Temple of Doom attempted to be different. Temple of Doom was its own thing and not trying to be nostalgia clickbait like Kingdom of the Crystal Dull is. And the aliens themselves, yeah, not only don't they fit in the Indiana Jones lore, but they are the most generic and simplistic and plain designed aliens you will ever see in a blockbuster. Uh, and the CGI here, this is the most CGI heavy of the Indy movies. I wouldn't be surprised if that was George Lucas's idea, but yeah, the CGI makes the action in this movie totally pale in comparison to breathtaking action of the original trilogy. I'm sorry, but CG action will never blow you away in Indiana Jones like a real practical stunts. When you know that action was enhanced by a computer, it takes away all the tension and all the danger. So you don't fear for the characters in this one when there's an action scene going down, as you did in the original three. Oh, and John Hurt's character was kind of unnecessary. Like the Aztecs in the temple, that they didn't do anything significant either. So it is a amazing idea on paper that Indy would go to Peru, as that's does go back to the roots of the opening scene of Raiders. But South America in this movie does not leave the impact that it left in the opening of Raiders whatso freaking ever. Oh, and the red ants looked fake as hell. Remember in the original three when they used actual real animals? Yeah, whereas they just resorted to doing CGI red ants. Kind of lazy. And this may be John Williams's most subpar scorer for the quad trilogy. It's slightly more subtle and toned down than the first three. You can see he was running out of inspiration for an indie theme the fourth time round, and that's the thing. The passion that went into the first three is totally missing, and that's what makes this one of Spielberg's most disappointing movies, just like his 2016 BFG. And before you ask, yes, the Indy surviving a nuclear explosion by hiding in a fridge is the dumbest thing. I mean, I I guess the game Heavy Rain when Madison hides herself in the fridge to survive the explosion in Scott's apartment was inspired by this movie, but that at least made sense as I guess you can survive a regular explosion by hiding in a fridge, but not a nuclear one. But the blame is not Spielberg's, it's George Lucas's completely. So overall, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Dull is the dullest Indiana Jones movie of the four. I give Kingdom of the Crystal Skull 2 stars out of 5. Meh movie. Well, guys, we did it. We've reviewed the original four indie movies leading up to you know what. Ah. I mean, I thought four was too much, but uh, five, okay, yeah, they have jumped the shark and gone too far. Yeah, so up next will be one of my least anticipated movies this entire year, and it looks like the critics are on my side, judging by that low Rotten Tomatoes score. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. What are your thoughts on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? Is it? Do you agree it's currently the weakest indie movie, or do you like it more than Temple of Doom? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.